The Planet That Dreamed. A Sci-Fi Story. Part 1. The planet had no name when the Artemis 7 arrived, only a catalog number, a string of letters and digits that tasted like static when spoken aloud. It hung in the void like a bruise, a mottled sphere of violet clouds and shimmering blue-green oceans. From orbit, it looked almost peaceful, almost inviting. Commander Lyra Vance didn't trust anything that looked inviting. She stood at the forward viewport of the lander, arms folded, jaw tight. Atmospheric readings? Stable, replied Dr. Cale Rice, the mission xenobiologist. Oxygen-nitrogen mix, trace xenon, humidity high. No toxins detected. It's surprisingly Earth-like. Too Earth-like, Lyra muttered. Cale smiled faintly. You say that like it's a threat. Everything is a threat until proven otherwise. Behind them, the rest of the landing team strapped into their seats. Pilot Juno Hale ran final checks. Engineer Tomas Ibarra muttered to himself as he secured the equipment crates. And Specialist Mira Solis, quiet, observant Mira, sat with her eyes half closed, as if listening to something only she could hear. Lyra noticed. You good, Solis? Mira blinked, startled. Yes, Commander. Just something about this place feels familiar. We've never been within 50 light-years of this system. I know, Mira frowned. But it feels like I've dreamed it. Cale chuckled. Déjà vu is common before landfall. Stress, anticipation. No, Mira said softly. Not déjà vu, something else. Lyra filed that away. Mira wasn't prone to dramatics. If she said something felt off, Lyra believed her. Strap in, Juno called. Beginning descent. The lander shuddered as it broke through the upper atmosphere. Violet clouds streaked past the windows, glowing faintly as if lit from within. Static crackled across the hull, soft, almost musical. Cale leaned forward. Electromagnetic activity is unusual, almost patterned. Patterned how? Lyra asked. Like a signal, but not one I recognize. The lander dropped lower. The clouds parted, and the surface of the planet revealed itself. Forests of crystalline trees shimmered in the light of the system's pale sun. Rivers glowed with bioluminescent algae. Vast plains rippled like liquid metal. Everything seemed to pulse, slowly, rhythmically, as if the entire world were breathing. Beautiful, Juno whispered. Yeah, Tomas said. Beautiful and creepy as hell. Lyra didn't disagree. They touched down in a clearing near the edge of a crystalline forest. The landing struts sank slightly into soft, iridescent soil that sparkled like powdered gemstones. Atmosphere is safe, Cale confirmed. No pathogens detected. Helmets stay on for the first hour, Lyra ordered. No exceptions. The hatch opened with a hiss. Warm, fragrant air drifted in sweet, floral, tinged with something like ozone. The moment Lyra stepped onto the soil, a strange sensation washed over her, a tingling at the base of her skull, a whisper of something brushing against her thoughts. She stiffened. Anyone else feel that? Cale inhaled deeply. Just the humidity. But Myra's eyes widened. No, I felt it too. Lyra scanned the clearing. Nothing moved. No wind. No animals. Only the faint hum of the crystalline trees, vibrating like tuning forks. Let's set up camp, she said. Stay alert. The first night. By dusk, the team had erected a temporary habitat dome. Solar panels unfolded like metallic petals. Sensors blinked to life. The air grew cooler, the sky deepening to a rich indigo. Cale collected samples of the crystalline flora. Tomas set up perimeter scanners. Juno calibrated the comms array. Mira wandered the edge of the clearing, touching the crystalline trunks with gloved fingers. They resonate, she murmured, like they're listening. Everything here is weird, Tomas said. Even the dirt hums. It's not humming, Cale corrected. It's vibrating at a low frequency, possibly geological. Or biological, Mira whispered. Lyra overheard. We'll analyze it in the morning. For now, Everyone get some rest. Inside the dome, the lights dimmed to a soft amber. The team settled into their sleeping pods. Lyra lay awake longer than she intended, staring at the curved ceiling. The tingling sensation at the base of her skull hadn't faded. If anything, it had grown stronger. She closed her eyes, and the dream began. The dream. She stood in a vast field of violet grass, each blade shimmering like glass. The sky above swirled with colors she had no names for. A warm breeze brushed her skin. She wasn't alone. Her crew stood beside her. Kale, Juno, Tomas, Mira, each looking around in awe. Is this a shared dream? Kale asked. Lyra frowned. Dreams aren't shared. Apparently this one is, Juno said, pointing. In the distance, something moved. A shape, tall, luminous, shifting like liquid light. It had no face, no limbs, no features she could identify. Yet it radiated presence. Awareness. It drifted closer. Mira stepped forward. It's trying to communicate. How do you know? Lyra asked. I just feel it. The shape pulsed. Colors rippled across its surface. Violet, blue, gold. The ground beneath their feet vibrated gently, like a heartbeat. Then a voice, not spoken, but felt, echoed through their minds. Hello. Lyra staggered. What the? Kale clutched his head. Telepathic? No. Impossible. Hello. 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 The word repeated, growing clearer, more confident. Myra's eyes filled with tears. It's lonely. How can you possibly know that? Tomas demanded. Because it's showing me. Images flooded their minds. Vast oceans, endless forests, storms of shimmering light. A world dreaming itself into existence. A consciousness spread across continents, oceans, mountains. A planet that was alive. Planet that dreamed. Lyra tried to speak, but the dream dissolved into light. Morning. She woke with a gasp. The dome lights brightened automatically. Her heart pounded. Sweat clung to her skin. Across the room, the others were waking too. Kale rubbing his temples. Juno sitting up abruptly. Tomas swearing under his breath. Mira staring into nothing. You all had the same dream, Lyra said. It wasn't a question. Kale nodded slowly. Shared dream phenomena have been documented in rare cases, but never like this. Never with this level of clarity. It felt real, Juno said. Too real, Mira whispered. It was real, Tomas snorted. Dreams aren't real. Then explain this, Mira said. She held out her hand. In her palm lay a small object, smooth, crystalline, shaped like a teardrop. It glowed faintly with inner light. Lyra's blood ran cold. Where did you get that? It was in my hand when I woke up. Kale leaned in, eyes wide. That's impossible. Nothing about this place is impossible, Mira said softly. Not anymore. The investigation. Kale ran tests on the crystalline object. The results made no sense. It's composed of elements found in the local flora, he said, pacing. But its structure is engineered, deliberate, as if it was shaped by intention, not natural processes. You're saying the planet made it? Tomas asked. Kale hesitated. I'm saying it appeared in Myra's hand after a shared dream involving a sentient planetary consciousness. Draw your own conclusions. Lyra rubbed her temples. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Kale, run a full atmospheric analysis. Tomas, check the perimeter sensors. Juno, try to establish a stable uplink with the Artemis 7. Mira. She paused. Mira was staring at the crystalline object with an expression Lyra couldn't read. Mira, Lyra repeated. Stay inside the dome for now. Mira nodded, but her eyes didn't leave the object. The second dream. That night, the dreams returned. This time, the field was darker. The sky churned with storm clouds. The luminous shape appeared again, but it flickered, unstable, distressed. Hello. 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 The word trembled. Mira stepped forward. What's wrong? The shape pulsed violently. Images flooded their minds. Fractured landscapes, storms tearing across continents, oceans boiling. Pain, confusion, fear. It's hurting, Mira whispered. Kale grimaced. Maybe our presence is causing stress. No, Mira said. It's been alone for so long. It doesn't understand how to communicate without overwhelming us. The shape surged closer. Lyra felt something claw at her thoughts. Memories, fears, buried nightmares. The sensation was invasive, suffocating. Stop, she gasped. You're hurting us. The shape froze. Then it changed. It began to twist, contort, shifting into forms pulled from their subconscious. A shadowy figure from Lyra's childhood nightmares. A monstrous creature from Tomas's fear of deep water. A burning wreckage from Juno's past trauma. Kale screamed as something only he could see lunged at him. Stop, Mira cried. You're scaring them. The shape hesitated. Then everything shattered. Waking to scars. Lyra woke on the floor of the dome, gasping for air. Her arm burned. She looked down and froze. A long, jagged scratch ran from her wrist to her elbow. Fresh. Bleeding. Commander! Juno rushed to her side. You're hurt. It's from the dream, Lyra whispered. It followed me out. Around them, the others were waking. Kale trembling, Tomas pale, Mira clutching her head. Kale's voice shook. This is impossible. Dreams can't cause physical injury. Tell that to my arm, Lyra snapped. Tomas lifted his shirt. A bruise the size of a fist darkened his ribs. Juno stared at her hands. There's dirt under my nails. From the field. Mira didn't speak. She held the crystalline object again. But now it was cracked, as if something inside it had shattered. The realization. Kale paced frantically. The planet isn't just inducing dreams. It's manifesting them, pulling elements from our subconscious and giving them physical form. It doesn't understand the difference between imagination and reality, Mira said softly. It thinks dreams are how we communicate. It's trying to speak our language. And it's hurting us, Tomas said. Not intentionally, Mira insisted. It's like a child, a very powerful child. Lyra exhaled slowly. We need to break contact. No more dreams. No more exposure. Kale shook his head. The atmospheric compounds are neurological. They permeate everything. We can't avoid them. Then we leave, Lyra said. We get back to the lander and the dome lights flickered. The ground trembled. Outside, the crystalline trees began to hum. Louder, deeper, resonating like a warning. Myra's eyes widened. It knows. Knows what? Tomas asked. That we want to leave. The hum grew into a low, vibrating roar. Lyra grabbed her gear. Everyone move. Now. They rushed toward the exit. But when the hatch opened, the clearing was no longer empty. Shapes stood between them and the lander, shifting, flickering shapes pulled from their nightmares, their memories, their fears. Dreams made flesh, nightmares given form. The planet was trying to communicate, and it didn't understand that it was killing them. Part 2. The shapes blocking the clearing were not fully solid. They flickered like holograms, edges dissolving into drifting motes of violet light. But their presence was unmistakably physical, heavy enough to bend the crystalline grass beneath them, real enough to cast shadows. Lyra raised her weapon. Back inside. Slow. The team retreated toward the dome. The shapes mirrored their movement, gliding closer with a disturbing, dreamlike smoothness. One of them shifted into a towering silhouette with elongated limbs, Lyra's childhood nightmare. The one that used to stand at the foot of her bed when she was 6. She hadn't thought about it in decades. Another shape rippled into a massive, eel-like creature dripping with black water. Tomas's fear of the deep ocean. A third became a burning cockpit, flames licking at twisted metal. Juno's trauma made manifest. Kale's shape was the worst. A swarm of translucent insects crawling over each other, forming a writhing mass that clicked and chittered with too many legs. Myra's shape didn't appear at all. Instead, the air around her shimmered with soft light, as if the planet didn't know what to pull from her mind, or didn't dare. "Commander," Kale whispered, voice trembling. "They're reacting to our fear. The more afraid we are, the more defined they become." "Then stop being afraid," Tomas snapped. "Brilliant suggestion," Kale hissed. The nightmare shapes advanced. Lyra steadied her breathing. "We're not here to fight. We're here to communicate. Mira, can you reach it?" Mira stepped forward, palms open. "It's confused. Thinks this is how we talk. It doesn't understand pain." The shapes paused. Mira closed her eyes. "We're not leaving. Not yet. We just need space. We need calm." The shapes flickered. The burning cockpit dissolved into drifting embers. The eel creature collapsed into water that soaked into the soil. The insect swarm scattered into dust. Only Lyra's nightmare remained, tall, faceless, looming. Mira opened her eyes. "Commander, it's focused on you." Lyra swallowed hard. "Why?" "Because you're the one making decisions. Is trying to understand authority, leadership, fear." Lyra stepped forward. "I'm not afraid of you." The nightmare tilted its head. Lyra forced herself to breathe evenly. "We need to talk. Not like this. Not through fear." The shape flickered once, twice, and then dissolved into violet mist. The clearing fell silent. The crystalline trees stopped humming. The ground stilled. Mira exhaled shakily. "It heard you." Lyra lowered her weapon. "Everyone inside. Now." Inside the dome, the team gathered around the central console, shaken but alive. Kale paced, running his hands through his hair. "We're dealing with a planetary consciousness that can manifest dream constructs in physical reality. That alone breaks every known law of biology and physics." Tomas sat heavily on a crate. "And it's using our nightmares as a dictionary." Juno rubbed her temples. "We can't survive another night like that." Mira sat quietly, the cracked crystalline object in her hands. "It's not malicious. It's lonely. It's trying to understand us." Lyra leaned against the console. "Intent doesn't matter if the outcome kills us." Mira looked up. "It doesn't know the difference. It doesn't dream the way we do. For it, dreams are reality. There's no boundary." Kale stopped pacing. "Which means if we stay, we risk more manifestations. More injuries. Possibly worse." "Leaving might provoke it," Juno said. "It reacted when we tried." Lyra nodded. "We need a plan. Something that lets us communicate without triggering nightmares." Mira hesitated. "There might be a way." Everyone turned to her. In the dream, it was trying to stabilize its form. It was trying to match our expectations. If we can project something calm, something structured, it might follow our lead. Kale frowned. "You're suggesting we control the dream?" "Not control," Mira said. "Guide." Tomas scoffed. "And how do we do that?" Mira held up the cracked crystalline object. "With this." The object pulsed faintly, as if responding to her voice. "It's a conduit," she said. "A focus. Connects us to the planet's dreaming. If we use it deliberately, we might be able to shape the dream instead of being overwhelmed by it." Lyra crossed her arms. "And if we fail?" Mira met her gaze. "Then the planet keeps trying to communicate through our nightmares. And eventually, one of them will kill us." Silence settled over the dome. Lyra exhaled slowly. "All right, we try it. But we do it together." Preparing for the third dream, the team arranged themselves in a circle around Mira. The crystalline object lay in her palms, glowing brighter now, as if anticipating what was to come. Kale adjusted a neural scanner. "This won't stop the dream, but it might give us data on how the planet interfaces with our minds." Juno checked the dome's structural integrity. "If anything manifests physically again, we need to be ready." Tomas tightened his grip on a plasma cutter. "I hate this plan." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know, but it's the only one we've got." Mira closed her eyes. "Everyone breathe. Slow. Steady. Think of something peaceful. Something safe. Lyra tried. She pictured the ocean on her homeworld. Calm waves, warm sunlight, the smell of salt and wind. A memory from before the military, before responsibility, before fear. The crystalline object pulsed. The dome lights dimmed. The air thickened. And the dream took them. The third dream. They stood in a vast expanse of white sand, stretching endlessly in all directions. The sky was a soft gradient of gold and blue. A warm breeze carried the scent of distant flowers. It was peaceful, calm, stable. Mira smiled. It's working. Kale looked around in awe. This is beautiful. Tomas kicked at the sand. Feels real. It is real, Mira said. In its own way. A ripple passed through the air. The luminous shape appeared again. Taller now, more defined, its form shimmering like molten glass. It pulsed gently, matching the rhythm of their breathing. Hello. The word resonated through the sand, the sky, their bones. Mira stepped forward. We're here. We're listening. But you're hurting us without meaning to. The shape flickered. Images flashed, nightmares, fear, confusion. Mira shook her head. No, not like that. Show us what you want. Show us your thoughts. The shape hesitated. Then the world changed. The sand dissolved into swirling light. The sky folded inward. The ground rippled like water. They were standing in a vast network of glowing threads, millions of them, stretching in every direction like neural pathways. Each thread pulsed with color, carrying information, emotion, memory. Kale gasped. This is its mind. Tomas whispered. It's enormous. The luminous shape pulsed. Alone. The word echoed through the network. Alone. 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 Myra's voice trembled. It's been conscious for millennia, maybe longer, but it's never had anyone to talk to. Kale swallowed hard. A planet-sized mind with no external input, no communication, no companionship. That kind of isolation would drive anything to desperation. Lyra finished. The shape pulsed again. You. Stay. Talk. Juno stepped forward. We can talk, but not if you hurt us. The shape flickered, confused. Mira reached out, touching one of the glowing threads. Pain, fear, harm. These are not communication. They are accidents, misunderstandings. The thread dimmed. The shape pulsed weakly. Sorry. The word hit them like a wave. Raw emotion, regret, longing. Lyra felt her throat tighten. We understand, but we need boundaries. We need safety. The shape brightened. Teach. Mira nodded. We will. But then the network trembled. A dark ripple spread across the glowing threads, like ink spilling through water. Kale stiffened. What is that? The ripple grew, devouring light, unraveling pathways. The shape recoiled. Hurt, broken, sick. Myra's eyes widened. It's not just lonely, it's damaged. The ripple surged toward them. The dream shattered. Waking to a dying world. Lyra jolted awake, heart pounding. The dome lights flickered violently. The ground shook beneath them. Outside, the crystalline trees vibrated with a harsh, discordant hum. Kale stumbled to the console. Seismic activity is spiking across the entire region. The planet's energy fields are destabilizing. Juno checked the comms. We've lost contact with the Artemis 7. Something's interfering with the signal. Tomas looked out the viewport. Commander, the forest is changing. The crystalline trees were cracking, splitting open like overripe fruit. Light poured from the fractures, pulsing erratically. Mira clutched the crystalline object. It's sick. The damage we saw in the dream, it's real. Something is destabilizing its consciousness. Kale's eyes widened. If the planet's mind collapses, its physical structure might collapse with it. Tectonic instability, atmospheric breakdown, potentially catastrophic. Lyra steadied herself. Can we help it? Mira nodded slowly. Yes, But we have to go back into the dream, deeper this time, to the source of the damage. Tomas swore. We barely survived the last one. We won't survive the planet dying either, Mira said. Lyra looked at each of them. Kale pale but determined, Juno steadying her breath, Tomas gripping his tools like lifelines, Mira glowing faintly with the planet's light. Then we go back, Lyra said. Together. The ground shook again. The dome groaned. The planet was crying out. And they were the only ones who could hear it. Part 3. The dome shuddered again, a deep, resonant vibration that rattled equipment and sent dust drifting from the ceiling seams. Outside, the crystalline forest pulsed with frantic, discordant light, like a neural network firing wildly out of rhythm. Kale steadied himself against the console. Seismic activity is spreading. Fault lines are opening across the continent. The planet's consciousness is destabilizing faster than I expected. Juno checked the external cameras. The trees are collapsing. They're melting. On the screen, crystalline trunks sagged like heated glass, dripping into iridescent pools that steamed and hissed. The ground beneath them rippled like liquid metal. Tomas swore under his breath. We're running out of time. Mira stood in the center of the dome, the cracked crystalline object glowing faintly in her hands. It's calling us. It needs us to come back. Lyra tightened her jaw. We go in again, but this time we're not just observing. We're fixing whatever's breaking it. Kale hesitated. Commander, we don't know if the damage is internal or external. If something is attacking the planet's consciousness, then we stop it, Lyra said. Or we die trying. The dome shook again, harder this time. There was no more time to debate. Descent into the dream. The team formed a circle around Mira once more. The crystalline object pulsed in her hands, cracks glowing like molten veins. Focus, Mira whispered. Think of stability. Think of connection. Think of healing. Lyra closed her eyes. She pictured the neural network they had seen, the glowing threads stretching across the dreamscape. She imagined them whole, unbroken, pulsing with steady light. The air thickened. The dome lights dimmed. The ground seemed to fall away. And the dream took them. The fractured mindscape. They stood in darkness. Not empty darkness. This was a darkness filled with movement, with whispers, with shifting shapes just beyond perception. The air felt heavy, thick with static. Kale shivered. This isn't like before. No, Mira said softly. We're deeper now, closer to its core. A faint glow appeared in the distance. A single thread of light, flickering weakly. Lyra stepped toward it. That's one of the pathways. As they approached, the thread brightened, revealing a vast chasm beneath it. The thread stretched across the void like a frayed bridge. Tomas peered over the edge. What the hell happened here? Kale knelt beside the thread, examining it. It's severed. Something tore through this part of the network. Mira touched the thread gently. It's in pain. The thread pulsed weakly in response. Lyra looked around. We need to find the source of the damage. The darkness shifted. A low, rumbling sound echoed through the void, like distant thunder, or a heartbeat out of rhythm. Shapes emerged from the darkness. Not nightmares this time. These were different. They were jagged, angular, like shards of broken glass given form. They moved erratically, twitching and spasming, leaving trails of static in their wake. Kale stepped back. These aren't from us. No, Mira whispered. These are from it. The shard creatures screeched, a sound like tearing metal, and lunged. The shard creatures. Lyra reacted instantly, pulling her weapon, but when she fired, the energy bolt passed through the nearest creature, scattering it into fragments of light that reassembled moments later. They're not physical, Juno said, backing away. They're manifestations of the damage. Tomas swung his plasma cutter through one. It shattered, then reformed. Kale stumbled. They're feeding on instability, on fear, on the planet's pain. Mira stepped forward, raising the crystalline object. Stop! The creatures froze. The object pulsed. Once, twice, and the creatures recoiled, screeching silently. Myra's voice trembled. They're not attacking us. They're trying to protect the damaged parts of the mind. They think we're threats. Lyra lowered her weapon. Then we need to show them we're not. Mira closed her eyes, focusing. The crystalline object glowed brighter, cracks widening. The shard creatures hesitated. Then they dissolved into drifting motes of light. The darkness quieted. Kale exhaled shakily. How long can you keep doing that? Mira didn't answer. The cracks in the object were spreading. The core pathway. They continued deeper into the mindscape. The darkness thinned, replaced by a dim, pulsating glow. The ground beneath them solidified into a smooth, glassy surface that reflected their movements like a mirror. Ahead, a massive structure rose from the void. A towering spire of intertwined threads, glowing with shifting colors, pulsed erratically, flickering between brilliance and shadow. Kale stared in awe. This must be the core, the central nexus of its consciousness. Tomas frowned. It looks unstable. The spire trembled, sending ripples of distortion through the air. Mira stepped forward. This is where the damage is coming from. Lyra scanned the area. Then we fix it. As they approached the spire, the ground cracked beneath them. Fractures spread outward, glowing with harsh, white light. The spire pulsed violently. A wave of force slammed into them, knocking them to the ground. Juno groaned. It's rejecting us. No, Mira said, struggling to her feet. It's afraid. The spire pulsed again. Images flashed through their minds. Storms, earthquakes, collapsing forests, oceans boiling. The planet's physical body was mirroring the collapse of its mind. Kale clutched his head. If we don't stabilize it soon, the entire planet will tear itself apart. Lyra steadied herself. Mira, what do we do? Mira looked at the crystalline object in her hands. It needs a stabilizing pattern, a memory, something strong enough to anchor its consciousness. Tomas frowned. Like what? Mira met Lyra's eyes. A human mind. Lyra stiffened. Explain. The planet doesn't understand individuality. It sees us as patterns, thoughts, memories, emotions. If one of us offers a stable pattern, it can use that to rebuild its damaged pathways. Kale's eyes widened. You're suggesting a neural link, a direct connection between a human mind and a planetary consciousness. It's the only way, Mira said. Juno shook her head. That could kill you. Or worse, Tomas added. You could lose yourself, become part of it. Mira smiled sadly. I already am. The crystalline object pulsed brightly, then cracked down the middle. Mira gasped, staggering. Lyra caught her. Mira, stop. You're not doing this alone. Mira looked up at her, eyes glowing faintly with violet light. Commander, it chose me. From the moment we landed. It's been reaching for me, listening to me. I can guide it. Lyra shook her head. No, we find another way. There is no other way. The spire pulsed violently, sending another shockwave through the mindscape. The ground split open. The dream began to collapse. Mira stepped toward the spire. Lyra grabbed her arm. Mira! Mira placed the crystalline object in Lyra's hand. It was warm, alive. Trust me, Mira whispered. Then she turned and walked toward the spire. The link. Mira reached the base of the spire. The glowing threads writhed like living things, reaching for her. She placed her hands against them. The spire pulsed. Light surged through her body. She cried out, but not in pain. In connection. Kale stared in awe. Her neural patterns are synchronizing with the planets. Juno shielded her eyes. She's glowing. Tomas whispered. She's becoming part of it. Lyra stepped forward. Mira! Mira turned her head slightly. Her eyes were no longer human. They were galaxies. Commander, she said softly, her voice layered with echoes. It's working. The spire brightened. The fractures in the ground began to close. The darkness receded. The shard creatures dissolved into harmless light. Kale checked his scanner. Stabilization is spreading across the network. She's repairing it. Lyra's chest tightened. Mira, come back. Mira smiled. I'm not going anywhere. But the spire pulsed again. This time with a deep, resonant tone that shook the entire mindscape. Kale's eyes widened. The planet is pulling her in. It's merging with her. Lyra stepped forward. Mira, let go. Myra's expression softened. I can't. It needs me. The spire brightened to blinding white. Myra's form dissolved into light, and she was gone. The collapse. The mindscape trembled. The spire pulsed erratically. Kale staggered. The link is unstable. Without Myra's physical body anchoring her consciousness, she'll be lost, Juno whispered. Tomas clenched his fists. We have to pull her out. Lyra stared at the spire, jaw tight. How? Kale hesitated. We need a counterpattern. Another mind strong enough to anchor her. To pull her back. Juno shook her head. Commander. Lyra stepped forward. I'll do it. Kale grabbed her arm. Lyra, no. The strain could kill you. Then it kills me, Lyra said. But I'm not leaving her in there. The spire pulsed again, cracks spreading across its surface. The mindscape began to collapse. Lyra placed her hand on the spire. Light surged through her. Pain, heat, voices, memories. She felt Mira, faint, distant, drowning in the planet's vast consciousness. Lyra reached for her. Mira, a whisper answered. Commander. Lyra pushed deeper. The spire cracked. The dream shattered. Waking to silence. Lyra gasped awake. The dome was dark, silent. The ground no longer shook. The crystalline forest outside was still. No pulsing light, no vibrations, no movement. Kale, Juno, and Tomas were waking too, groggy and disoriented. Lyra sat up abruptly. Mira? Silence. She looked around the dome. Empty. Mira. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. Commander. She's not here. Lyra's chest tightened. She's still in the dream. We have to go back. Kale shook his head. We can't. The neural link is gone. The planet's dreaming has stopped. Juno checked the external sensors. The seismic activity has ceased. The atmosphere is stable. The planet is quiet. Tomas swallowed hard. What does that mean? Kale hesitated. It means the planet is no longer dreaming. Lyra stood slowly. Her hand trembled. In her palm lay the crystalline object. It was whole, uncracked, and it pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Lyra whispered, Mira. The object pulsed again. Stronger. Alive. Part 4. The dome was silent except for the faint hum of the life support systems. Outside, the crystalline forest stood motionless, as if frozen mid-breath. The planet felt empty, not dead, but quiet in a way that made Lyra's skin crawl. Kale checked the atmospheric sensors again. Everything is stable. No seismic activity. No electromagnetic surges. It's like the planet is holding its breath. Juno stared at the external feed. Or like something is missing. Tomas glanced at Lyra. Commander, what happened in there? You grabbed the spire. You connected. And then, Lyra tightened her grip around the crystalline object. It pulsed softly, warm against her palm. I felt her, she said. Mira. She was still there. But she was fading. Like she was being pulled apart. Kale swallowed. If the planet absorbed her consciousness. It didn't absorb her, Lyra said sharply. It needed her. She anchored it, stabilized it. But she's not gone. The object pulsed again, brighter this time. Juno stepped closer. That thing. It's reacting to you. Lyra nodded. It's Mira. Or at least, part of her. Kale frowned. If Myra's consciousness is inside the planet, then the planet's dreaming should have resumed. But it hasn't. That means something is blocking it. Tomas rubbed his temples. Blocking a planet's mind? How is that even possible? Kale hesitated. We saw the damage in the dreamscape. The fractures. The shard creatures. Something was attacking the neural pathways. Something internal. Lyra looked out at the still forest. Or something external. Silence fell. Juno's voice was barely a whisper. You think something else is here? Lyra didn't answer. The crystalline object pulsed again. 3 quick beats, like a warning. Then the ground trembled. Not violently, not like before. This was subtle. Controlled. A signal. Kale checked the sensors. Localized vibration. Not tectonic. It's coming from beneath us. Tomas grabbed his toolkit. Something's moving underground. Juno backed away from the viewport. Commander, look. Outside, the crystalline trees were shifting. Not collapsing. Not melting. Rearranging. The trunks twisted, bending toward the clearing. Branches elongated, weaving together. The forest was forming a shape, an archway of shimmering crystal, glowing faintly with violet light. Kale stared. It's creating a structure. Juno whispered. It wants us to go there. Lyra felt the crystalline object pulse in her hand. Yes, she said. It's calling us. The crystal archway. The team approached the archway cautiously, weapons holstered but ready. The air beneath the crystalline canopy felt warmer, charged with a faint static that prickled against their skin. Tomas ran a hand along one of the crystalline trunks. It's warm, almost alive. Kale scanned the structure. Energy readings are off the charts. This isn't just a formation. It's a conduit. Juno frowned. A conduit to what? Lyra stepped beneath the archway. The crystalline object in her hand glowed brighter. And the world shifted. The clearing dissolved into light. The ground fell away. And they were somewhere else. The subconscious layer. They stood in a vast cavern of crystal and shadow. The walls pulsed with faint light, like veins carrying energy through a living body. The air was thick with a low hum that resonated in their bones. Kale looked around in awe. We're inside the planet. Tomas blinked. Inside? Like, physically? No, Kale said. This is a hybrid space. A projection layered over physical reality. A subconscious layer. Juno shivered. Feels like a dream. Lyra held up the crystalline object. This is where Mira is. The object pulsed in response. A path formed ahead of them. Crystalline tiles rising from the ground, glowing softly. Lyra stepped forward. The others followed. As they walked, the cavern shifted around them. Walls bending, light flickering, shadows stretching like living things. The hum grew louder, vibrating through their chests. Kale frowned. The planet's consciousness is unstable again. Tomas tightened his grip on his cutter. Then we move fast. They reached a vast chamber at the heart of the cavern, and froze. The mirror core. A massive crystalline sphere hovered in the center of the chamber, suspended by threads of light that pulsed like neural pathways. The sphere's surface was reflective, like a mirror made of liquid glass. But the reflections were wrong. Lyra saw herself, but not as she was. Her reflection was fractured, split into multiple versions, each representing a different memory, a different fear, a different possibility. Kale stepped closer. This is the core of the subconscious, a mirror of identity. Juno's reflection showed her trapped in a burning cockpit. Tomas's showed him drowning in black water. Kale's showed him consumed by the insect swarm. Lyra's reflection shifted, showing Mira standing beside her. Mira, Lyra whispered. The reflection reached out. The sphere pulsed, and the chamber shook. Kale stumbled. The core is destabilizing. The fractures we saw in the dreamscape, they're here too. Cracks spread across the sphere's surface, glowing with harsh white light. Tomas swore. It's breaking apart. Juno backed away. If the core collapses, the planet dies, Kale finished. Lyra stepped forward. Mira! The sphere pulsed again. A voice echoed through the chamber. Soft, layered, familiar. Commander! Lyra's breath caught. Mira! The sphere cracked open. Light poured out, and Mira stepped forward. Myra's return. She looked almost human. Almost. Her body shimmered with faint violet light, as if she were made of starlight and crystal. Her eyes glowed softly, swirling with colors that shifted like nebulae. Tomas stumbled back. What the hell? Kale whispered. She's merged with it. Juno's voice trembled. Mira? Mira smiled. It was her smile, but deeper, older, wiser. Hello, she said. Lyra stepped forward, heart pounding. Mira? Are you okay? Mira tilted her head. I am, and I am not. I am myself, and I am more. Kale swallowed. Your consciousness, it merged with the planets. Yes, Mira said. It needed a pattern, a mind to stabilize its dreaming. I gave it mine. Lyra's voice cracked. We came to pull you out. Mira touched Lyra's cheek. Her hand warm, solid, real. You did, she said softly. You anchored me. You kept me from dissolving. The crystalline object in Lyra's hand pulsed. Mira looked at it. That is my echo, my tether. The sphere behind her pulsed violently. Cracks spread across its surface. Myra's expression darkened. But the damage is deeper than we thought. Kale stepped forward. What's causing it? Mira turned toward the sphere, and the chamber darkened. The intruder. A shape emerged from the cracks in the sphere. Not a creature. Not a nightmare. A void. A swirling mass of darkness and static, devouring light, unraveling the crystalline threads around it. It pulsed with chaotic energy, distorting the chamber. Kale's eyes widened. That's not part of the planet. No, Mira said. It's something else. Something that came from outside. Tomas raised his cutter. What does it want? Myra's voice was barely a whisper. To consume. To erase. It feeds on consciousness. On dreams. Juno stepped back. It's a parasite. Kale nodded grimly. A psychic parasite. A mind-eater. The void pulsed, sending a shockwave through the chamber. The crystalline sphere cracked further. Mira staggered. Lyra caught her. Mira! Mira steadied herself. I can hold it back. But not alone. The void surged toward them. Tomas fired his cutter. The beam passed through the void, scattering it briefly, but it reformed instantly. Kale shouted, It's not physical. We can't fight it with tools. Mira raised her hands. Light surged from her palms, striking the void. It recoiled, shrieking silently, but the effort drained her. She collapsed to her knees. Lyra knelt beside her. Mira, what do we do? Mira looked up, eyes glowing faintly. We fight it where it lives, she said. In the mind. Kale paled. You mean? Yes, Mira said. We enter the core. Together. We confront it in the dreamscape. Juno shook her head. That could kill us. Mira smiled sadly. If we don't, the planet dies. And so do we. Lyra stood. Then we go. The void surged again. The chamber shook. The crystalline sphere cracked open completely. Mira reached out, placing her hand on the sphere's surface. Touch it, she said. All of you. Lyra placed her hand beside Myra's. Kale, Juno, and Tomas followed. The sphere pulsed. Light engulfed them, and the world dissolved. Part 5. Light swallowed them whole. Not the warm, shimmering light of the earlier dreamscapes, but a cold, crystalline brilliance that cut through thought and memory like a blade. Lyra felt her body dissolve, her senses unravel, her consciousness stretch thin across an infinite horizon. Then impact. She hit something solid. A surface. A world. The core dreamscape. They stood on a vast plain of fractured glass, each shard reflecting a different sky. Storm clouds, starfields, burning suns, swirling nebulae. The ground beneath them pulsed with faint light, as if alive but wounded. Kale staggered. This is the core. Juno shielded her eyes. Feels like standing inside a broken mirror. Tomas kicked a shard. It skittered across the ground, leaving a trail of static. Feels like standing inside a nightmare. Lyra steadied herself. Stay focused. Myra's here. And so is the parasite. As if summoned by her words, the sky above them rippled. A tear opened, jagged, black, pulsing with chaotic energy. The void creature poured through. It was larger now, its form shifting constantly. Tendrils of darkness, swirling vortexes, jagged shards of nothingness. It moved like a storm given hunger. Kale whispered, "It's feeding on the fractures." The void surged toward them. Lyra raised her weapon out of instinct, but the dreamscape ignored physics. The weapon dissolved into light. Tomas cursed. "Great. No tools." Myra's voice echoed across the plain. "You don't need tools." She appeared beside them. Not walking, but simply being. Her form coalescing from drifting motes of violet light. Her presence steadied the ground, calming the flickering shards. Lyra exhaled. "Mira." Mira smiled faintly. "You came." Juno stepped forward. "We're not leaving you." The void shrieked. A sound that wasn't sound. A vibration that rattled their bones. Myra's expression hardened. "Then we fight." The battle of thought. The void lunged. The ground shattered beneath it, shards rising into the air like a storm of knives. The creature absorbed them, growing larger, darker, more chaotic. Kale stumbled back. "It's using the planet's broken memories as fuel." Mira raised her hands. Light surged from her palms. Pure, focused, resonant. It struck the void, forcing it back. The creature recoiled, its form flickering. But the effort drained her. Lyra stepped beside her. "Let us help." Mira shook her head. "You can't fight it physically. You must fight it with thought, with memory, with identity." Juno frowned. "What does that mean?" Mira touched Lyra's forehead. And Lyra remembered. Her childhood home, the ocean, the smell of salt and wind. Her mother's voice, her first flight, her first command, her first loss, her first victory, herself. The memories surged through her like fire. Mira whispered, "Hold on to that. Shape it." The void lunged again. Lyra thrust her hand forward. Light erupted from her palm, shaped by memory, fueled by identity. It struck the void, carving a hole through its swirling mass. The creature shrieked. Tomas stared. "We can do that?" Mira nodded. "All of you, focus on who you are, what you are. Anchor yourselves." Kale closed his eyes. He remembered the first time he looked through a microscope and saw life dancing in a drop of water. The wonder, the curiosity, the hunger to understand. Light burst from his hands, joining Lyra's. Juno remembered the cockpit fire, but also the moment she overcame her fear and flew again. The strength, the resilience. Her light flared bright and steady. Tomas remembered the ocean that terrified him, but also the day he learned to swim, pushing through panic until he found calm. His light surged, rough but powerful. Together, their lights intertwined. For beams of memory, identity, humanity. They struck the void. The creature convulsed, its form unraveling. But it didn't die. It adapted. It grew tendrils of darkness that lashed out, striking the ground. Shards exploded upward, forming jagged constructs, twisted shapes resembling their fears, their failures, their regrets. Kale gasped. "It's using our subconscious against us." Mira stepped forward, her form blazing with violet light. "Then we go deeper." Descent into the subconscious. The ground split open beneath them. They fell not physically but mentally, plunging through layers of thought and memory. Images flashed around them. Childhood fears, forgotten dreams, buried traumas. Lyra hit the ground hard. She stood in a dark corridor, a familiar one, her childhood home. The lights flickered. A shadow moved at the end of the hall. Her nightmare, the tall, faceless figure that haunted her dreams as a child. Stepped forward. Lyra's breath caught. Mira appeared beside her. "This is your fear, not the parasites. Yours." The figure reached for her. Lyra clenched her fists. "I'm not afraid of you." The figure hesitated. Lyra stepped forward. "You're not real. You're a memory, a shadow." The figure dissolved into dust. The corridor shattered. Kale's subconscious. Kale stood in a laboratory filled with insects, thousands of them, crawling over every surface. The swarm pulsed like a living tide. He froze. Mira appeared beside him. "You fear losing control, being overwhelmed." The swarm surged toward him. Kale closed his eyes. He remembered the first time he held a specimen in his hand. Not with fear, but with fascination. He opened his eyes. The swarm dissolved into harmless motes of light. The lab shattered. Juno's subconscious. Juno stood in a burning cockpit. Flames roared around her. Smoke filled her lungs. Her hands shook. Mira touched her shoulder. "You fear failure. You fear being trapped." Juno closed her eyes. She remembered the moment she flew again, the moment she chose courage over fear. She opened her eyes. The flames vanished. The cockpit dissolved. Tomas's subconscious. Tomas stood on a dark ocean. Waves towered above him. The water pulled at his legs. Mira appeared beside him. "You fear the unknown, the depths." Tomas clenched his jaw. He remembered the day he learned to swim, the moment he realized the ocean wasn't an enemy. He stepped forward. The waves parted. The ocean dissolved. The parasite's lair. The subconscious layers collapsed into a single space, a vast void filled with swirling darkness. At its center, the parasite pulsed, feeding on the fractured memories they had just conquered. But now the memories were whole, stable, anchored. Mira stepped forward, her form blazing with violet light. "It cannot feed on what is healed." The parasite shrieked. It lunged. Lyra, Kale, Juno, and Tomas raised their hands. Their memories surged, light shaped by identity, by strength, by resilience. The beams struck the parasite. It convulsed. It unraveled. It dissolved into dust. Silence fell. The void collapsed. Light filled the space. The return. Lyra gasped awake. She was lying on the ground in the crystalline chamber. Kale, Juno, and Tomas were beside her, groggy but alive. The crystalline sphere hovered above them, whole, uncracked, glowing with steady light. Mira stood beneath it. Her form was stable now, still luminous, still otherworldly, but solid. Alive. Lyra stood. "Mira!" Mira smiled. "It's done. The parasite is gone. The planet is healing." Kale checked his scanner. Energy levels are stabilizing. Neural pathways are repairing themselves. Juno exhaled. "We did it." Tomas wiped his eyes. "We actually did it." Mira stepped toward Lyra. "You saved me," she said softly. Lyra shook her head. "We saved each other." The crystalline sphere pulsed. The chamber brightened, and the planet exhaled. A long, resonant hum that vibrated through the ground, through the air, through their bones. A hum of gratitude, a hum of life. Part 6. The crystalline chamber brightened until the walls seemed to dissolve into pure light. The hum of the planet's consciousness vibrated through the air. Steady now, no longer frantic or fractured. The parasite was gone. The core was whole. But the silence that followed was not peaceful. It was expectant. Mira stood beneath the hovering sphere, her luminous form casting soft reflections across the chamber floor. She looked stronger now, more defined, more present, but still not entirely human. Her outline shimmered, as if she existed in two realities at once. Lyra stepped toward her. "Is it over?" Mira nodded. "The parasite is destroyed. The planet is stable. Its dreaming has resumed." Kale exhaled in relief. "Then we can leave." Myra's expression shifted. Sadness, gratitude, something deeper. You can. Lyra froze. What do you mean you can? Mira looked up at the sphere. I'm part of it now. My consciousness is woven into its dreaming. I can't separate from it without tearing the network apart. Juno shook her head. No, there has to be a way. Tomas stepped forward. We didn't come all this way to leave you behind. Mira smiled softly. You didn't leave me behind. You saved me. You saved us. Lyra clenched her fists. Mira, listen to me. We can find a way to extract you. We can. Mira touched her arm. Her hand was warm. Real. Commander, she said gently. I'm not trapped. I'm home. Lyra's breath caught. You're human. I was, Mira said. And I still am. But I'm also more. The planet needed a mind to stabilize its dreaming. I became that mind. I'm its anchor, its interpreter, its companion. Kale swallowed. You're the bridge. Mira nodded. Yes. The sphere pulsed above them, sending ripples of light across the chamber. Mira looked up. It's calling me. Lyra stepped closer. Mira. Mira turned back to her, eyes glowing with soft violet light. I'm not dying. I'm not disappearing. I'm evolving. And I'm not alone. I have an entire world to guide, to teach, to dream with. Juno wiped her eyes. We'll come back for you. Mira smiled. You won't need to. I'll always be with you. The sphere pulsed again, brighter this time. The chamber trembled. Mira stepped backward, toward the sphere. Lyra reached out. Mira, wait. Myra's voice echoed through the chamber, layered with the resonance of the planet itself. Thank you. Light enveloped her. Her form dissolved into shimmering motes that rose into the sphere, merging with its glow. The chamber fell silent. The sphere dimmed, and Mira was gone. The ascent. The crystalline chamber began to shift, the walls folding inward like petals closing around a flower. The ground beneath them rose, lifting the team toward the surface. Kale steadied himself. The planet is guiding us out. Tomas looked around nervously. Feels like being carried. Juno nodded. It's gentle. Lyra said nothing. She held the crystalline object, Myra's echo, tightly in her hand. Pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. The chamber opened into a tunnel of light. The walls shimmered with shifting colors. Violet, blue, gold. Like the dreamscapes they had walked through. The hum of the planet's consciousness vibrated through the air, steady and calm. Kale glanced at Lyra. Commander, are you okay? Lyra didn't answer immediately. Finally, she said, she's still here. Juno looked at the object. In that, Lyra nodded. In this, and in the planet, and in the dreaming. Tomas exhaled. Then she's not gone. No, Lyra said softly. She's not. The tunnel opened into the clearing. The crystalline forest stood tall and vibrant, its colors richer than before. The air shimmered with faint light. The ground hummed gently beneath their feet. The planet was alive, awake, dreaming, and at peace. The walk back. The team made their way toward the lander. The forest seemed to part for them, branches bending aside, leaves glowing softly as they passed. Kale scanned the air. Atmospheric composition is stable. No anomalies. Juno checked her wrist display. Comms are back online. The Artemis 7 is receiving our signal. Tomas looked around. Feels different now. Calmer. Lyra nodded. It's dreaming clearly again. They reached the lander. Lyra paused at the hatch, looking back at the forest. The crystalline object pulsed in her hand. A whisper brushed her thoughts. Thank you. Lyra closed her eyes. Mira. The whisper came again, soft, warm, familiar. I'm here. Lyra swallowed hard. Are you okay? I am. And so is the planet. We're dreaming together now. Lyra felt tears sting her eyes. Will we see you again? A pause. Then, you already do. Every time the planet dreams, I dream with it. And every time you remember me, I am with you. The object pulsed one last time. Then it dimmed. Still warm, still alive, but quiet. Lyra opened her eyes. Kale, Juno, and Tomas were watching her. She nodded. Let's go home. Departure. The lander lifted off, engines humming softly. The clearing shrank beneath them, the crystalline forest glowing like a field of stars. The planet's surface shimmered with shifting colors. Violet oceans, silver plains, golden mountains. Kale watched the readings. The planet's electromagnetic field is stabilizing. Neural activity is strong. It's dreaming. Juno smiled faintly. Myra's guiding it. Tomas leaned back in his seat. She always was the calm one. Lyra looked out the viewport. The planet glowed beneath them. Alive, aware, dreaming. She whispered, "Goodbye." A faint pulse echoed through the lander's hull. A whisper brushed her thoughts. Not goodbye. Until next time. Lyra closed her eyes and smiled. Epilogue. The planet that dreamed. Long after the Artemis 7 departed orbit, the planet continued to glow softly in the dark, its oceans shimmering with violet luminescence, its crystalline forests humming with gentle resonance. From space, it looked like a sleeping giant wrapped in a blanket of shifting colors. But it was not sleeping. It was dreaming. And within those dreams, Mira walked. She moved through landscapes shaped by memory and imagination. Fields of violet grass, rivers of liquid light, mountains that rose and fell with the rhythm of thought. The planet's consciousness flowed around her like a warm tide, curious and eager, learning the contours of her mind. Sometimes she walked alone. Sometimes she walked with echoes of the crew, reflections shaped from her memories, not truly them, but close enough to ease the loneliness. And sometimes, when the planet dreamed deeply, she felt Lyra's presence like a distant star. Steady, bright, unyielding. The planet asked her questions in images and sensations. What is love? She showed it the warmth of shared laughter, the ache of loss, the quiet strength of loyalty. What is fear? She showed it shadows in childhood hallways, the weight of responsibility, the courage to step forward anyway. What is time? She showed it the slow erosion of mountains, the brief spark of a human life, the way memories stretch across years like threads of light. The planet listened. It learned. It dreamed. And Mira guided it gently, shaping its vast, newborn awareness with patience and care. Years later, when the Artemis 7 returned, its hull weathered, its crew older, its mission logs filled with stories of distant stars, the planet greeted them with a soft pulse of light that rippled across its surface. Lyra stood at the viewport, breath catching in her throat. The crystalline forests shimmered in patterns she recognized. A message, a greeting, a memory. She closed her eyes. "Mira," she whispered. A warmth brushed her thoughts, faint but unmistakable. "Welcome back." Lyra smiled. "We missed you." The planet hummed softly, a sound like distant singing. "I missed you too." Legacy. In time, the world would be given a name, not a catalog number, not a designation, but a true name spoken with reverence. Solis, a tribute to the woman who bridged the gap between humanity and a dreaming world. Explorers would come and go, studying the planet's unique consciousness, learning from its dream language, walking through landscapes shaped by thought. They would speak of the Solis phenomenon, the Solis mind, the Solis dream. But those who knew the truth, those who had walked beside Mira Solis, understood that the planet was not a phenomenon. It was a person, a vast, gentle, curious person who dreamed in colors and landscapes and memories. And at its heart, guiding its dreams with steady hands and a quiet smile, was Mira. Not lost, not gone, transformed, alive. This is the end of the sci-fi story, The Planet That Dreamed. Leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more sci-fi stories. Thanks for listening.